Um, I think they're mad. I mean, just I think it's a group that obviously takes I think every guy in the room takes responsibility. I mean, and I'll tell you what I told them. I said we're close. We're not far off. Um, we're doing a lot of good things. We gotta obviously you look at the other day. You have you're -4 in turnovers or takeaways and made some grave mistakes in the second, that hurt us and had a couple calls go against us. And you're a missed tackle away from, getting the ball back with a chance to tie or win the football game at the end and against a good football team. So, my message is the same. We got to be more consistent. We can't have, a couple of some of the breakdowns that hurt us defensively. Um, and in the end, we have to handle adversity a little better than we did the other day. Because you're gonna. Let's face it. You play a good football team, and you're in a game, and you're gonna have some things go against you. At times, and then you have to handle those things the right way. You can't press. I think at times our guys are pressing. Where something, maybe the momentum starts switching a little bit, and you have guys trying too hard instead of I always feel like you get in that situation, every guy has to have the mindset of do your job. Don't try to do something out of the ordinary, but if you try and do something, if you just do your job and execute, you're going to get yourself out of bad situations. And I think at times we press, and a guy's trying to trying too hard to make a play or whatever. You get a bust, and then it makes you look bad. And those are the things you got to mature. You got to trust what you're doing, and just keep going to the next play. And so you got to handle things. We got to handle things a little bit better in some of those situations. Um, but we're not far off, and we just got to stay with the process. Keep coaching these guys. We got to coach it better, and we got to execute better, more consistently.
I know it's just Tuesday, but I would assume the confidence is not lacking in any confidence.
No, I mean, I've said before. We take a really black and white approach of, we show them the good things that we're doing and build on it. But there's a number of things that there's some things we got to fix, and to eliminate the mistakes that are hurting this football team. And we got a lot of football out ahead of us, and we got to. And one thing I like about this group is there's nobody pointing fingers or, grumbling or anything like that. Every guy, coaches and players alike, are taking responsibility, and you stay the course, and that's all you can do in a situation like this. And they, I don't think the confidence is lacking. I can tell you this: the want to is not lacking, and we're playing hard. We got to play smarter at times, and we got to coach better at times, and just keep staying with the detail that's necessary. I've said before, I think I've said it over here the last couple of weeks, is a lot of times in a game like that, the team that makes the least amount of mistakes is going to win the football game, and that means every guy being locked in on the doing his job. This is the ultimate team sport. And you can look bad when one guy, you have 10 guys doing the right thing and one guy does the wrong thing. It makes it can make everything look like it can unravel the whole thing.
Talk a lot about the process and getting better each week, and you hope along the way you're winning games as that process is happening. When you look at the game film, not considering whether you won or lost, is this team getting better week to week from what you see on film?
Yeah, like I said, what we have to do is get better consistently. I mean, heck, that first half we played pretty good football. We left some points out there. I thought, that there were a couple situations where we had a chance to maybe extend the lead, and and things like that. We played pretty high level of football in that first half, and at times, really, at times through the third quarter, and but then like we had a couple breakdowns, and later on in the game, and that's hard to do. We had a personal foul. We had a busted coverage on that gave him an 81. That sequence right there was, that isn't why we lost the football game, but that's a sequence that you got to avoid. You can't have that. That can't happen, and it did, and we weren't able to overcome it. And
What about Nate? I know it's early, but kind of what's his?
I can say this: he felt a lot better Sunday than he did the previous Sunday, so which is a good thing. He fought his butt off. He's a warrior, and he's a tough kid. But just have to see how he progresses as the week goes on. But
I'm sorry, when you see like teammates carrying him off the field, was there any thought of taking him out for good, or how does that process kind of work?
kind of go off of the kid. I think it was one of those deals where he was hurting, or he was hurt, and then it was coming back. Where he got he got a sharp pain or whatever it may be. I'm not in his body, but a lot of that communication and goes with the kid and how he's feeling and when it's time to go back out on the field. And we're not going to put him out there. The doctors aren't going to let him go out there if he's putting himself at serious risk. It's just a matter of what he can tolerate. And maybe, I said it to the offensive staff, maybe we should have. It's not like we don't have confidence in Joe. So maybe there were times, maybe we should have went to Joe earlier. I don't know, hindsight, in hindsight. But you got to kind of, in some of those situations, you got to go on how the kid's feeling.
Coach, you've been part of a lot of teams. How hard is it to kind of stop the bleeding when things start to unravel a little bit? Kind of.
It's a maturity thing.
Yeah.
It's sometimes you just got to keep coaching them, and we're doing some other things away from the field to talk to them about some things. Sometimes you can press too hard, and sometimes you can want it too bad. In some ways, and that like I said, I talk to them a lot about you got to forget about in really any sport, but especially this sport, you got to forget it, good or bad. You better forget about what happened and go to the next play. And it always has to be of do your job, and and see what you need to see and execute. It's about execution and consistently executing, no matter what the situation, no matter what the score, no matter what the time, place, and I always have that mindset. And I also say this, and we talked about it a lot. I know defensively, the other day is you have to practice that way. You can't, no matter what the situation, you have to practice that. That means, and only individual players can control that during the week, and in that you can't drift in practice. You can't approach practice any differently, than you do the game, because otherwise you're setting yourself up for failure. And each guy, and that's part of the maturity of it, is when you approach it in practice, you better be locked in, because you're gonna play the way you practice, and you're gonna see things how you practice, and you might be able to get away with it on the practice field because it might not, obviously a mistake on the practice field isn't as big a deal. We'll get it corrected on the tape, but you're setting yourself up for issues down the line if you don't not only understand what to do, but why you're doing it, and get it executed, and make sure you're absolutely locked in preparation for Saturday. And at times we do that really well, and at times we're not as consistent and maybe as focused on the practice field as need be. And that's my experience in coaching, and that's a maturity thing. That's putting pressure on yourself in essence, or the coaches putting pressure on the guys in practice to absolutely be locked in and execute every single snap.
What about, excuse me, Southern Illinois, obviously struggling a little bit as well, only two.
You know, they're very capable. They got a good, some of their quarterbacks. They've had some guys beat up a little bit, and trying to find themselves. They do some. They're a good offense. They do a lot. They stress you a lot defensively. They have some good weapons. They have some good wide receivers in the outside. They got a couple really good backs. They're physical up front. It's the offense has kind of evolved a little bit. It's not as much of a quarterback run offense. It still has those tendencies where they can still get to it real easily. They haven't featured that part of it as much, but they make you defend the whole field. They do a nice job offensively, and it's a well thought out scheme.
What about defensively? How are they?
Pretty good. They're big up. They're big, physical. They got some good looking corners. They move a lot, they move a decent amount up front. So they're big, but they're also pretty athletic up front. And they've gotten better as the year's gone on. I feel defensively, and thought last week against Illinois State they played pretty well.
Dan was in here a few minutes ago talking about movement and how the offensive line is dealing with it. He thought they did a better job this past week than against you and I. Is that part of the continuity and just kind of coming together as a line?
Yeah, I think overall we've done a better job of handling movement, but I know that part of it will get tested this week, and I just think it's growing. We've been pretty good up front. It just it's like anything in football. It's about the details and the little things, and the same things. A lot of times that doesn't show up to the average fan, but we're really close in the run game the last couple of weeks on a couple of plays, but you can't have a guy here, a guy there missing, or maybe going to the wrong guy, targeting the wrong guy, whatever it may be, and where if you target it the right way, we get the guy blocked. We have some big plays that we've left out there, and so it's just continuing to work at it. Sometimes that's been offensive linemen, sometimes that's the back, sometimes it's a tight end. But we got to all be on the same page and make sure that we're getting cleaner and cleaner as the year goes on. You're never going to be perfect, but you got to keep working in that direction.
You guys have had some road woes, I guess, over the last year and a half or so. Is there anything when you watch film that sticks out consistently when you guys are on the road, or is it just?
No, we've played well at times, and last year we had our road woe. We had our woes. Period. We weren't. I don't think we're as good a football team last year at this point, and a lot of it because of injuries and continuity and all that type of thing. And this is new year, different team, and I think we're heading in a good direction, and I expect to play well Saturday.